This is a heist for Milwaukee Bucks. Is following a very interesting trade deadline for Jon Horst. Their focus is now shifted to buyout candidates, and some new reports of rumors are starting to circulate revealing what Jon Horst's plan is. We're going to break down this player and discuss what this means going forward, as well as discuss some other updates as it pertains to the Bucks' next move. Stay tuned for all that in this episode, folks. But before we get into it, if you're part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, we're getting close to 3,000 subscribers. Your guys' support has been unbelievable over the past few days. If you want to continue to show support, make sure to hit that subscribe button, as we're going to continue to produce daily Bucks content. But ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot to go over today, and obviously we're going to be focusing on the buyout market, because the buyout market at this point is a very interesting one. It's the only avenue the Bucks have remaining to upgrade their team. We were all hoping they were going to make a bit of a bigger splash yesterday following the Kyle Kuzma trade. Marcus Smart, there were rumors about. DeAndre Hunter even was, gotten for second round picks. But now, as we shift our focus to the buyout market, there's a couple of guys, and one in particular, that the Bucks could be very intrigued by. Now, obviously, we're talking about a bunch of players, but Lonnie Walker is going to be the one I'm focusing on today. Now, it's a little bit interesting because the fit is a little bit murky. However, I want to start by saying this. Here are some potential buyout candidates with salary above the $12.8 million mid-level exception: Malcolm Brogdon, Bruce Brown, Ben Simmons, Bojan Bogdanovic. Now, keep in mind, the Bucks are above the first apron, meaning they cannot sign any of these guys. I know a lot of Bucks fans out there were talking about Ben Simmons and players like that. The Bucks can only sign players that have salaries below $12.8 million because they're above the second apron, unless they waive some players, which is doubtful to happen. So when it comes to potential buyout candidates that everybody can sign, you're now looking at players like Seth Curry, Cam Richards, Josh Richardson, Jaden Springer, all these different players, and also Lonnie Walker. And Lonnie Walker is a very interesting guy. You can see this here from Keep It a Buck. My favorite Bucks buyout candidates right now are Torrey Craig, who is signed with the Celtics, Lonnie Walker, Reggie Jackson, and Josh Richardson. We'll have videos on the other guys, Reggie Jackson, and more in depth about Josh Richardson in the future. Focusing on Lonnie Walker, and we've had videos on him in the past, specifically prior to the season starting, and also midway through the season as well. Lonnie Walker as a buyout candidate would make a ton of sense. Now, he's currently playing overseas, I believe, and he is has a high ceiling compared to some of the other buyout candidates. Now, he's coming off of a season, he's yet to play this year, but last season, where he put up 9 points a game. And if you're unfamiliar with Lonnie Walker's game, he shoots the ball a lot, and he shoots at a very high clip. He's a career 35.6 percentage three-point shooter, but keep in mind that in 2021, he had one down year. Other than that, he's been, between 35 and 40% from three. And his most recent season with the Brooklyn Nets, he was coming off of the bench. He shot 38% from three. And when you're looking at a team now in the Bucks that they really need both defense and more reliable scoring punch off the bench. I mean, they have AJ Green, they have Gary Trent Jr. You now have Kevin Porter Jr. who's going to play the backup point guard spot. So Lonnie Walker may be a little bit redundant in that front, but when you're looking at the other guys that are available for the Bucks, I mean, Josh Richardson would make some sense because he's more defensive minded, and I think that ultimately might be what makes sense. But when you're talking about pure talent, Lonnie Walker is that guy. He has the most talent out of any of the buyout candidates that are available that the Bucks can grab because they are above that first apron. Again, they aren't able to grab the Bruce Browns of the world or the other guys, the Ben Simmons of the world, who are probably going to be better fits for this team. But surrounding Lonnie Walker, I like the fit a lot. And there's some other guys as well. I mean, Cam Reddish is a 3-and-D wing. You have Seth Curry, who's a pure shooter. There's a lot of guys here that could fit the Bucks buyout market. Now, as you look at their starting lineup, the depth chart has now been updated. So you have Damian Lillard, Andre Jackson Jr., Kyle Kuzma, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Brook Lopez as the starting five. With off of the bench, you have Kevin Porter, Gary Trent Jr., Taurean Prince, Bobby Portis. The AJ Green now moved to the third string. So Kevin Porter is going to be your backup point guard. We had a video on it yesterday. He's a very poor defender, but he's a good shooter. He's going to be solid. He's going to give some extra help to Damian Lillard, especially off the bench. Now, when you're looking at Lonnie Walker and you compare Lonnie Walker to Gary Trent Jr., there are some similarities there. Lonnie Walker is a bit better on the ball, and adding someone to the buyout market who's had success in the NBA in the past is always a good idea. He's had seasons where he put up 12 points a game off the bench, and he's used to a bench role. So if you're Jon Horst and you want to add some more scoring power, yes, defensively, he's not great, and the Bucks do need some more defense. But at this point, not many of the buyout candidates that are remaining are great at defense. I mean, Cam Reddish, sure, Josh Richardson to a degree, in his prime was good at defense. Other than that, a lot of these guys are not perfect fits surrounding the Milwaukee Bucks. So you have to pick from what you have left. And Lonnie Walker, I mean, the Bucks have been linked to him for a very long time, dating back to when he was bought out by the Boston Celtics. And again, the Celtics got Torrey Craig. I think Torrey Craig actually would have been a perfect fit for the Milwaukee Bucks. He's actually having a solid year. He's a 3-and-D wing. He's 6'5". He's built, he's strong, and he would help the Milwaukee Bucks greatly. But that's not an option anymore. He went with the Celtics, which makes a ton of sense. So now as you pivot and transition into some of these other guys, you start to look at players like Josh Richardson, but also Lonnie Walker. Now, would Lonnie Walker start at shooting guard would be the question next. There's a possibility. Like, obviously, Andre Jackson Jr. is a much better defender than Lonnie Walker, and Ajax starts the first 10 to 15 minutes, really just the first 10 minutes or so, 7 minutes of each half, or he plays 7 minutes of each half and just does, he's matchup dependent. If you get Lonnie Walker in, you can move Ajax to the bench. You can maybe have a bit of a better defensive bench unit, though your starting defense then is horrible. You have Damian Lillard, and your starting lineup defense is really bad. Lonnie Walker at the 2, Kyle Kuzma at the 3. It's 3 poor defenders. Giannis and Brook are solid defenders. So you'd have to make up some ground there. But when you're talking about the way that this team can improve, the options are certainly limited. And they didn't go out and get a guy like Vooch. Now, keep in mind, they also got Jericho Sims, who's going to be, I guess, their third-string center at this point because Bobby Portis, they kept him around, surprisingly. They kept Brook Lopez. They kept Pat Connaughton. They kept Bobby Portis. They did finally find a suitor for Marjon Beauchamp, which they got a talent upgrade there, which is pretty good. But some fans are a little bit upset. Truly abysmal trade deadline for the Bucks that primarily accomplished cutting salary and freeing up their ability to trade a draft pick 7 years from July. So people are a little bit upset. And again, Bruce Brown would have been the perfect fit for the Milwaukee Bucks, and you cannot buy him. You can't sign any buyout players making over, it's at 12.8, and I believe Bruce Brown is making $23 million or $24 million this season. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Bucks decide to do because they're a little bit handcuffed now. You made your big splashes. There's no one in the buyout market that is, because you're above the first apron, you're not in the second apron. Because you're in the first, you're not going to be able to go out and get many of the huge impact players. And, for teams, other teams out there like the Lakers and some of the other teams that are also in the first apron, as you can see here, most of those teams are a lot more complete than the Milwaukee Bucks are. Celtics, Nuggets, Lakers, all those teams are more complete. So, you can afford getting away with a guy like Torrey Craig or something like that. However, for the Bucks, they could have used a guy like Brogdon or Brown, Ben Simmons, even Bojan Bogdanovic. A lot of these guys would have been very good pieces, but you can't sign them. So when you shift your pivot now to, or you pivot your, ideas to guys who you can sign, whether that be Seth Curry, Cam Reddish, you have to prioritize either going over someone who's defensive minded but isn't a great shooter, or if you want to go all in the shooting front, you go for a guy like Seth Curry of the world or Lonnie Walker, who can provide you some on-ball scoring, provide you some three-point shooting, and provide you a little bit of other things as well, a little bit of playmaking from Lonnie Walker there. So let me know down below what your thoughts are. Would you want the Bucks to sign Lonnie Walker? And also, do you think that this Bucks team, do you think John Horst did enough at the deadline? Because Kyle Kuzma, solid trade. I still don't love giving up A.J. Johnson. Kevin Porter Jr., I like that trade a lot. Marjon Beauchamp was never going to be anything for the Bucks. You now get a backup point guard who can score the ball. But you would have liked to see them do more. A lot of players are, traded for seconds. The Bucks traded 5 second-round picks in 2020, or a couple of years ago, 4, of course, Jay Crowder in 2021 or 2022, which really handcuffed them going forward. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Hopefully, the Milwaukee Bucks can continue to make some moves and improve. But either way, we'll keep you guys updated. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you later.